Let's talk about England, who could win the World Cup.
Well, they could.
Phil Foden was great. Okay, I was thinking about this at the weekend because I was disappointed. I do understand, but I was disappointed Bellingham wasn't in this squad because I really want to watch him play football. I want to watch him play football in an England shirt because he's brilliant. And I think this time next year, he will be a mainstay in the England midfield. I will say this. I think England's three-man midfield will consist of Rice, Bellingham, and one other. Now, is that one other Mount, or is it Foden, or is it somebody else? And if it is Mount, does that mean Foden's in the front three with Kane and Grealish? And, I mean, how are we going to make up that six, midfield three and front three?
Right, I know you're getting excited here,
and
I'm with you on
that.
But
he was so good.
I am with you 100% on the Bellingham situation, but we know Southgate, we know how he works, and he's made some changes this one. He's rested some of his youngsters, so-called youngsters, and he's played a team there. And we know he likes other players. We know he likes Phillips, he trusts him. We know he likes Henderson, he trusts him. And he puts them in the side. We know he likes Lingard. So when it comes down to it, what makes you think he's going to change it when we've just got to the final against Italy with Phillips and Rice in there, two sitting, really? What makes you think he's going to change it?
Because we didn't win it. And he has to change something if we are to go that extra step, and it's a big step, and win the thing. Or you may be right, and he may say, well, we didn't lose the final. They only lost it on penalties, so all we've got to do is practice penalties. Now, that for me will be a shocker. I think that the players are... When you look at... You're right, it was a effectively second string. If he picked his best 11 before Saturday, we wouldn't have had Foden in there, I don't think. Some of us would, but I don't think Gareth Southgate would.
No, Gareth wouldn't.
And I was hosting the game on Saturday night on talkSPORT, and I said to Stuart Pearce, am I allowed to get excited about Phil Foden, bearing in mind it's Andorra? You know what he said to me? He said, a good pass is a good pass, regardless of the opposition. And he's bang on.
Oh, okay. Okay, when we talk about that pass, by the way, it was skillful pass.
There were quite a few of them.
But let's just look. No, the one for the goal.
Yeah.
Saka. Let's just look at Saka, how he brought it down. Now, that, for me, was the best part of that move.
Okay.
The way he brought it down and shot and scored, I thought was unreal.
Well, Saka's in that conversation about midfield three and front three. Sancho, if he gets his form together at Manchester United, will be
Greenwood,
in the conversation.
Rashford, I've always said about Rashford. I've always said about him. Wonderful footballer, but for me, for England, he's always off the bench. He can influence it off the bench 100%.
Does Phil Foden get in your best 11?
He plays in that midfield because I'd have Grealish in as well in my best 11.
Okay, so your midfield three is what?
Well, Foden, Rice,
and
I think I'd go Mount on the other side.
Oh, that's very attacking.
It is attacking, but Rice would sit real deep, and you got two box to box there. I think Mount and Foden's work rate would be fine.
Okay, so
obviously against certain opposition, you might leave one of them out, and then it's your choice which one.
I'm intrigued by your front three. Kane, you've already said Grealish. Those two. And
well, it's at this moment in time because of the way Gareth works. It's Sterling, isn't it? That's the way he works.
Is that what you'd pick though?
I'd have probably Sancho or Greenwood.
And there's this reluctance or this agreement between club and country that Greenwood doesn't get picked for England, which is a bit strange. And they've got to work that out before next year, I think, to give England options, if nothing else.
But that's what I'm saying. We're talking about a big tournament next season. He's suddenly not going to make all these changes, Aid. That's what I'm trying to say. Southgate doesn't do it.
He doesn't. And
because at some point now, if that's what he's thinking down the line, one of these games was perfect for him to play the team he thinks might be the future. It might be the future in 12 months' time. It could be Bellingham. It could be Greenwood. He could have played them all this game, by the way.
But how ridiculous is he going to look if Manchester City have an amazing season, which they could easily do. They do that regularly. Phil Foden against Liverpool last two times against top opposition has been absolute class. If he has a wow of a season, consistently brilliant, stays injury-free, how foolish is Gareth Southgate going to look if Foden's not in his 11 and England don't win the World Cup? People will be looking on saying, hang on a minute, how can he leave this guy out? So I'm looking at, I think Phillips is the fall guy. I'm a big Kalvin Phillips fan. I said in the Championship he should be in the England squad.
But what's he done wrong, though? I know things have changed, Dave, but since he's been in an England shirt, what has he done wrong? People were talking about him being one of England's best players in the last tournament. All of a sudden, it's like, well, we've got to play Bellingham now.
He's done nothing wrong. But is Bellingham a better player?
So why is he going to get rid of him?
Because Bellingham's proven it in the Champions League as well as in a top league in Europe.
But that's not Phillips' fault. I had this argument last week about when people start judging better careers, who's had a better career. One career just because he's played in Champions League and won loads of trophies, compared to another guy who's a better footballer, but he's not at that big club.
I think that's to do with a mentality thing. I think the time for Kalvin Phillips, and as much as I'm a Leeds sympathiser, the time for him to move on was this summer. He's had an incredible tournament. He's done all he can at Leeds United. They're not going to get better, in my opinion. I may be proved wrong by Bielsa, but they're not going to get better. So the time was to move on. Now there's a big fuss. Oh, he can't go to Man United, and all that's holding him back. I don't think he's not like 19, 20, 21 as well, and he's not old, but he's not one of those youngsters. For me, I look at Jude Bellingham, and he is a box-to-box. He is creative. He can score as well. These are things that I don't think Kalvin Phillips has necessarily got on as regular a basis as Jude Bellingham will bring.
Yeah, well, I'm not disagreeing with you whatsoever, but I'm trying to go what we've seen from Gareth Southgate so far as England manager, and he's done a good job. Overall, it's been pretty good, the job he's done as England manager. You cannot argue with what he's done. So why is he suddenly going to become and change it all? Tell you what, next tournament, I'm going to get rid of the players who have never let him down, and he talks about this a lot, and his trust, and suddenly going to put in a load of youngsters because we all like them, and we think they're great, and we think they're exciting.
He wants to win the tournament, though. That's the thing.
He does want to win
in
it
his mindset,
by players he trusts.
Yeah, but are they good enough? Do you think they can do it? When you've got... Look at Denmark in qualifying, and they got to the semi-finals of the Euros. Denmark in qualifying 100%. They're literally unbeatable. They're phenomenal. You look at the Nations League that's just gone on. Are we really going to get past all of those teams? People talked about England having an easy run in the last two tournaments. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. But if you do hit a Denmark in the first knockout stage and they're on top form, if you do hit a France in that first knockout stage, are you going to be in big trouble? If you hit Italy in that first knockout stage, I think we have to look to be the best we can be. And judging from what we've seen from Phil Foden in his career, and he's only young, he has to find a way to get him in, doesn't he? How do you get Phil Foden in that team? 08717 223344. It's Drive on talkSPORT with WeBuyAnyCar.com. Hundreds of local branches, usually no more than 15 minutes away, leaving more time to enjoy the football.